have a question for you guys. Are you familiar with the term furry?
Hi guys. So I wanted to make a little video this week on something I've been noticing on YouTube recently. And that's how the furry YouTube channels I've been watching for a while have been growing so big lately. And I know there are a lot of furry YouTube channels out there, but there are channels that I subscribe to that I wouldn't even have dreamed of them being this big a couple years ago. So I wanted to go over a few furry YouTube channels and how they're becoming more popular. And there are even channels who are run by furries, but they don't necessarily make furry content. Although there are a couple people that are almost crossing the line there. So when I researched the most subscribed furry YouTube channel, I found out that Majira Strawberry had the most subscribers, which is kind of obvious because he, in my opinion, is like one of the most recognizable characters or personas that you find in the fandom. Although when you do look at the other channels, it does get a little bit more complicated, so I'll have to explain that here. As of a while back, the most subscribed furry YouTuber was A Thing from Space, and they currently have around 207,000 subscribers. And also at this time, Vixen Dwunk was in second place, with Majira being a close third place behind her. But since then, she's disabled her sub count, so I can't really tell how many subscribers she has. But I'd assume that Majira has more subscribers than she does now, because he's gotten even more popular in the last few months. Also, I want to mention that the fourth most subscribed furry YouTuber right now is the channel Eno89777, and they are in the 100,000s range, but I thought it'd be important to put them on this list. For this section, I wanted to list off some of the YouTubers that I'm almost certain are furries, but their channel isn't really centered around that. And if it wasn't already obvious, the odd ones out is in fact a furry.
I think we humans find things covered in hair more cute. We're more attracted to things covered in hair. And that's why I'm a furry.
So if we're going to look at the biggest furry YouTuber of all time, I would say the Odd Ones Out takes the lead on that, but there are also a few other YouTubers that have a pretty good amount of subscribers that I'm pretty sure are furries also. Take Your Movie Sucks for example. He's a furry and he's even talked about it before. He also has a second channel where his profile pic is of his persona. But his main channel isn't really centered around furry content. It's actually centered around movie reviews and movie criticism. But he has also done some collaborations with some furry YouTubers and made furry content on their channels. I'm also going to run a small list right here of some YouTubers I'm pretty sure are furries, but their channels aren't centered around it. So one reason I think these furry channels are growing so big is because of the controversy and attention the fandom's been getting lately. Because there's been good and bad drama in the fandom. There's been people like Sonic Fox lately who draw the fandom a lot of good attention, and although a little cringy,
I'm gay, black, a furry, pretty much everything a Republican hates, and the best esports player of the year, I guess.
It still gets the fandom out there. But while we have good people like this in the fandom, there's also bad people like Kiro the Wolf, for example, where he did an interview with Shane Dawson and got people to know more about him, but later we find out he's actually a terrible person. And I don't really want to talk about this too much because there's too much drama behind it. But if you don't believe me, you can go watch Kothrix's video on it where he goes more in depth, and he basically gives evidence for the accusations made on Kiro the Wolf. There was also this situation a while back where Rainy Chaos's videos were being recommended to non-furries. And this can be good and bad because, while you're getting the information out there to non-furries, you're also not getting good feedback. And I do agree with the non-furries saying that the YouTube algorithm is really screwed up. Because obviously a non-furry isn't going to be watching a furry video. The last thing I wanted to say here is I wanted to comment on how everybody in the fandom says that outsiders look at it the wrong way and it's not like they think it is. And while I think this is true for most people in the fandom, there's also quite a few bad people in the fandom. Take Kiro the Wolf, for example. and the fact that on Twitter you can say one controversial thing and the whole fandom lashes out at you for saying that. So let's steer away from the furry fandom side of it and let's get to the actual topic of the video. There are tons of popular furry channels that are growing rapidly, and there's hundreds of new ones popping out of nowhere. I think the reason this is happening is because it's so easy to start a YouTube channel now. There's so many different creators popping up out of tons of different fandoms and communities all over YouTube. Like, you see the same thing happening in the animation community on YouTube and the gaming community. And just for me, it was pretty easy to, pull out my phone, start filming, and just edit the videos on my computer. And it doesn't really cost me any money to do it with the materials I already had. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or things to say, please leave those in the comments because I'd love to see them. I'll also put the links to the things I mentioned in this video in the description. But I'll see you guys in another video.
In a tiny piece of colored glass, my love was born. And reds and golds and yellows